At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never teach through Canvas all the time. But then I spent so many nights reading the help docs for so long, and I grew strong. I learned how to get along, and so I'm back. The students are gone, as all my colleagues try to figure out how they're gonna get along. I should have kept up with the tech, not skipped that class on course design. If I'd have known for just 1 second, I'd be teaching all online. Go now, go, leave me alone. I've got to figure out just how to lecture using Panopto. You gave me 2 days to adjust, to move everything online. Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh, no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to Zoom, I know I'll be alive. Oh, my students still will learn, and my paychecks I will earn. I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, it took all the strength I had not to lay down and die.
Okay, well, how many do we have online, Candy?
About 4, myself included.
Okay.
I was going to tell you, what class or what training thing are we going to use for polio? COL 6, 7, 3, or what? Not 7. I've been practicing 7.
6 is fine.
I think 6. I don't think I have anything there. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to load that up on my screen.
Hi, everybody. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, I just had that little video on for our just viewing pleasure, just to add a little humor and lightness to the workshop. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I am Laura Lowe-Reefer, and Candy is online. Candy from Cooper is online. We both are instructional designers here with the Center for Teaching and Technology, and we are here to help you go online. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to start with a very basic, and we're going to go over how, well, Kim, you go first. You're going to show them how to log into their course.
Okay, hold on. I'm having some difficulties here.
Okay, let me make you presenter.
I'm trying to get loaded up.
Yeah. কোনটা করলা আমি কিছু করব আচ্ছা সেটাই এখন কি স্টার্ট মিটিং করব হ্যাঁ
Candy, are you ready? If not, I'll just go on.
Yeah, just go on because let me see. For some reason, it's not. Okay, I'm back. Okay, have you transferred privileges?
I don't see you anymore of my list of people, so I'm not real sure what happened to you. You dropped off. I know you're there because I can hear you, but as far as the list, I don't see you anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up and move on. Come on in.
Hold on.
Okay, let's see. Everybody can see my screen, is that correct? So just, I apologize if you're going to look at my Google Docs here, but I just want to bring up my agenda so we can stay on topic. Okay, so the very first, today in the workshop, our objectives we're going to cover to create and upload content using the gradebook, creating quizzes, communication tools, using the Dropbox and discussion. Like I said before, this is going to be a very minimum basic information. So if you need more, and it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff thrown at you, and we don't expect you to remember it. So we are here. We're just gonna tell you, here's the guide. Call us and we'll help, okay? So Candy was gonna go over the build a learning module and navigation. I am going to show you right now because I don't know, we have different levels of knowledge here. So if you're not familiar, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, can we ask everybody to mute their mics at this time?
Yes. Very
Mute,
good. Thank
if
you.
you would mute your mics so that way we can hear and we don't have echoes.
Mics.
Mics, yes, thank you. That would give us, we're getting feedback. Thank you, thank you. Okay, Laura.
Okay, so to find Folio, you want to go to My GS, and that's what I have here on the screen. If you there's two ways that you can get to Folio. Under the popular links, you'll find Folio, or you can scroll down further, and when you are teaching a course for that semester, that is a little quick link inside your course. So I am actually going to go to this one because I'm going to search out my course. This is going to take us to the institutional page of Folio. On the very front here, these are the lists, these are the courses that you are associated with. I am going to search out the course that we're going to work in today, and if you all want to work along, everybody has their own sandbox. And Candy, didn't you do first name, last name, sandbox?
It's first name, last name, and sandbox, yes, just as it appears with yours.
Okay. So if you want to, move along with me as I go through these steps to find your sandbox, absolutely do so. So at the very top here on my screen, you will see there's a little grid. I like to call it a little waffle because it looks like a waffle. So if you click on it, it brings up this search. So in today's workshop, you put the name of your sandbox, your first name, last name, sandbox. And if you have trouble seeing it, just let us know and we'll make sure that you're enrolled in it. Can we do 7? Can we do 2 since I'm not seeing 6 up here?
Yeah, I think 2 is clean. I'm not sure. Let me check real quick. But yeah, 2 should be clean.
Okay, so this is my Folio course and it is bare. Well, not really. It's not a bare course.
Try 4. Try 4.
You don't have me enrolled in. Let me jump in as admin and I'll be able to see it.
Yes, 4 is clean.
Okay. I'm going to type the name of my course in this search box. And it's probably taking a very long time to find it.
COL Folio Training 04.
I didn't find it. There it is. Sometimes it's case sensitive, sometimes it's not. And it's probably because I typed in the whole thing. Okay, so now we have this somewhat clean course. This has a template in it. And I'll explain that after a little bit towards the end. But when you open yours, it's going to be the bare basic. You're not going to see anything in here. So the navigation across the top is to the very top left. This takes you back to My Folio, which is the institution's homepage. If you click on your course name, you'll see it's a little hyperlink. That will take you to your course homepage. So anytime you get lost, you can click on that name and it will take you back to the front page of your course. Again, this is your search grid. Next to the right of the search grid looks like a little email envelope. This is your email alert messages. So when you have a new message, you'll see there'll be a little red dot here indicating that you have a new message to check. Now, I'll give you just a little bit of tip here about the email. It will show that you have unread email messages, but that is usually for every course that you have. When you click on this email, there is a filter right here, so you can filter it by your course. So in this course, we have no email. So going back up to the navigation at the top, next to the little email symbol, we have a little, looks like a discussion bubbles. This is exactly what that is. It's like a subscription alert. So if you use a discussion form, you can subscribe to it, and this will show same thing. Red little dot, orange little dot when there's some new content. And then if you hover over the little bell, that's update alerts. That's like if you have any Dropbox submissions or quizzes that didn't get completed, anything, it will show these. Now, all this stuff is also on the home page. You won't see this getting started in your news, and that's okay. But your updates that we just saw, there is an update box down below your image. It's to the right. You can click on it, and you can open and expand and close that box. But this is where you'll see your new content that comes in. If you have a new Dropbox submission, a new quiz attempt, a new discussion post, you'll also see it here. Now the news items, this is a great way for you guys to communicate with your students. Any important announcements that you want them to know, you can put it right here. They see it as soon as they log into the course. And at the top here, above the image, this is your content. This is where we're going to go. So we have content, our grades, our edit course, assessments, communication, resources, online rooms, calendar, my media, and more. So we're going to briefly cover some of these areas, just the main ones that you will need for your course, so that you will want to use for your course. So, okay. Quick little thing about the image, you can edit. So maybe you don't like this image and you just want to change the banner. You can do so, and you can remove the banner if you don't want to. You can even upload your very own. So that covers the, well, not quite. Up here where your name is, if you click on your name, you can see that you can view this as a student. If you click view as a student, it will take us into a student view of the course. So this kind of gives you an example of maybe you put something up there and you hit it.
Morning.
So you maybe want to see if it really is hidden. This is a good way to say, good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, if you can sign in and just grab a computer. All right, as you guys may know, we are doing this live and we're doing it on WebEx, so at times I might be speaking to someone who just walked in the room. Okay, so we're seeing this folio page as a student would see it. To get out of the student mode, you click on the name again and X, just to get out of it. Now, if you want to, we recommend that you kind of put your picture up in your profile. You don't have to fill out any of the rest of this, private information, but just use an image. A picture of yourself would be good. That way your students can have that they feel that human contact a little bit. Me, I have a little owl because this is a admin account. That's the only way I can distinguish it from my regular. So this is the profile and notifications. This is important for your students kind of more than it is you. So in the note, and your students have the notification as well. So in the notification, the first thing we see is the Pulse app. This is a tablet and an iPhone app or a smartphone app that students can download to make it easier to access your course. They can get to it right here at the very beginning of the notifications. So contact method, all of us faculty and staff at Georgia Southern, they are going to put our Georgia Southern email in here. So any emails that come in, it's going to be associated with us. If you have another email account, you can absolutely add it here. Maybe your students have a Gmail account that they want these alerts to go to instead of their student account. They can go here, use a custom email, type it in, save, and it's going to show that. Now, as I move down the page, I'll see these are instant notifications, and students can set these up. Whether or not they want to be alerted if you make changes to the content or you add new content, or if there's a new discussion, or if there's a quiz. So you can just kind of take a moment and look through those, and this is where your students can customize it. You can too. That is your preference. Let's see. And the next one, when we go up, is the account settings. So this is well, we don't change the password. This is my admin account. So I have a little options here. But if you want to turn off the HTML editor, I don't know why you would want to do that, but in some cases you might. You can do that. You can just see your settings here. They're kind of limited. Your discussions. It can tell you how you view your discussions. I like the reading view. That's what it's defaulted to. I'm just going to leave it here. So quickly, as I'm running through this is the navigation of Folio, and this is the profile area. And would you like to walk through, or you just want to watch me? That's good. Either one. I hope you log in if you're not, sir.
Okay.
Hey, come on in.
Should you log in? Should I log in?
Welcome.
Folio?
It's up to you. You can log into Folio, and we've given you a sandbox if you want to play around with it as a.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't have a verification code.
Okay. Talk to me after class, and we will see.
I mean, I can do it at home, but I just can't do it here.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. No, that's fine. You just watch this. It's a lot of information. Just take our cards when you leave, and we'll help you. And I will send everybody online. I think you've got our information from the emails I've sent, but I will send this out to everybody again, our contact, our emails, the documentation that I've shared with the people in the live room. I'll send it out virtually because I don't want to kill any more trees. So I'll send it out virtually to everyone. Okay, so let's see. Kind of cover those, profile. Candy, I'm just taking over your stuff. Let's see.
And I'm monitoring the chat line.
Okay, thank you. If anybody online has a question, anybody in the room, let's just kind of hold them off till the end. But folks online, if you have problems like hearing me or anything, you can type it into Candy. And she may not respond right away. You may just hold it till the end, depending on what it is. Okay, so back into the Folio class. The content area is where you build your content, or where you add your files, where you upload your syllabus, or upload your videos. This is where you do everything. So if you notice on the left-hand side, there is an overview. So once you build this out, it will show your students an overview. And bookmarks, they can bookmark the pages. And of course, schedule. You can upload your course schedule. And then we have the table of contents that shows everything that's in this course. So right now, just like yours, there's not going to be any content here. So the first thing you want to do is to build a module. You can call this Module 1, you can call it Week 1, you can call it whatever you typically do in your face-to-face. So for this demonstration, I'm just going to call it Module 1. And as you see, it populated this new module. Now we can put content under here. The modules, this will help you to keep your information organized, and it will help your students to know which way you're going. So I think we're picking at midterm now. We can call it whatever you're studying, week 7 or module 7, wherever we're at. So the very first thing we want to do is add something. So you would click New. If you click on the New button, you will see that we can upload files, we can upload audio, video, we can create a file, and I'll show you what that is. When it says create a file, that's more like a page. So you're going to create a page in this module. You can create a link, you can add from the Manage Files. The Manage Files is where all your files are stored in here. So you can go back and use them again or pull them back out. And if you scroll down, you see we have many different choices. So just for you guys to quickly, I'm not going to really show you the all over development and design because we want you to get your content online pretty rapid. Okay, so one thing that we are going to do is upload file. If you have a syllabus, for example, you want to put your syllabus out there for your students. That way it's there, it's in your online course, your expectations are spelled out to them. I'm going to click on my computer and upload. I don't know if I have any documents on here. Let's see. Here, we'll just put this in here. It's a doc file. You can use your Word documents, PDF, you use text files. It will let you know if it's not the correct file type. So once you upload this file, you'll see it drops down here to the bottom. So now that's a link for your students when they come in this course. They will see that you have a module. And I'm going to show you this real quick. This is also for your information because you can go to content from the top menu or you can scroll down and see a little kind of a content browser here. Some of your students typically use this area. So either way, it takes you to the same place. And this is the file I just uploaded. And let's look at it back from the content where we were working in. And this is it. So,
Hey, Laura, you have that on student. You're viewing it as a student. You might want to change that.
I am viewing this as a student because I wanted you guys to see what your students would see real quick.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to jump back as an instructor. Thank you, Candy, for reminding me because I would have tried to add something and couldn't do it. So one little quick note is you see that the new button is blue. A little hint, Folio kind of gives you breadcrumbs. So if you click on the blue button, and it's going to tell you to click on save, it's going to be a blue button. So it's usually the next steps come in the blue buttons. So if we, I'm going to create a file. This is a page in Folio. Somebody has their mic on. Can you mute it, please? We're getting feedback. So in here, if you have a Word doc where you've laid your stuff out, you can copy and paste that straight into this course, or you can type it out. Like so. Now this is going to be, it's going to look very, very basic. There's not going to be any kind of styling done to it unless you do this. If you bring it over and from a Word doc, it will ask you, do you want to keep the formatting? You have a choice, yes or no. So if I just type it in, I'm going to leave that there and going to go back over to this Word doc and open it up, and I'll show you. You can just copy, paste it in there, and what this is going to do is this creates an HTML file. This is easier for students to view on their phones, on their computers, because it's HTML. Where your Word doc or your PDFs, if they don't have Word, they may have trouble viewing it. Most things have a PDF viewer now, but our first recommendation when you put content is to put it using the HTML page. But it's absolutely okay just to upload your documents as is. So I am just going to grab something here. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it into this window. This is what I was talking about. When you're in a Word doc, it asks you if you want to keep your formatting or if you want to remove it. I'm going to say keep it. So it's going to come over kind of weird. So however it was in the Word doc. So let's paste it in and remove the formatting. And it's still kind of doing a weird thing. Oh, I forgot. This is very important. And I'm going to save and close. And as you see, this is the way it's going to come out. Okay. So that's how you just create a file in Folio. And so I'm going to go back. And this is how students are going to see it, maybe. Maybe I want my introduction here. So they're going to come here, they're going to click on introduction, they're going to see this page. There are right and left buttons where they can navigate forward or backwards. So if they want to click on the right arrow, they can view the next document. Now I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to share this, YouTube video with you. Many of you may have already seen it. Now, some people just copy this link right here and upload it. And I'm going to do two different ways, okay? So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go share on our YouTube video and copy the link. I'm going to go back to my Folio. I'm going to click New Link. And what was this called? A little spot. And I can paste the link there. I want to make sure I open it in an external source. And now it looks like this to you. You know, well, wait a minute. So if you come here, it will take you straight to the link.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never teach.
I'm going to go back to the module. Now, we as instructional designers, or I should say Candy and I, we like to advise you to embed videos because they're right there in the window. It doesn't send a student out to YouTube or out to TED Talks. It keeps them right there in Folio, because if they go out to these other places, they might start Facebooking or, whatever they do. So how you embed is you go to, we're going to use this introduction page because that was the file that we created. So I'm going to click on the down arrow, and I'm going to tell it edit HTML page. And I'm going to place my cursor where I want the video to show up. Give it a little title, and of course I do recommend that we reference these, but that's for another day. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on Insert Stuff. That is the top left button. It looks like a little play button. And I love the name of it, Insert Stuff. And if you open it up, you'll see there's a lot of stuff that you get to choose from. I'm going to scroll down in this case to edit embed code. Oh, but I got to go get the embed code. So I go back to my video. I click on Share. I click on Embed. Grab that code. Come on. Go back to Folio and click Enter Embed Code. And I'm just going to paste it here and say Next, and then say Insert. So you see how I got a blue button? It tells me what I need to do. Did you notice that? And now I'm going to save and close. So when your students come to this page, and it's not very good, not very clean, but when your students come to this page, they will now see the video and they can play it inside Folio. You can resize this in the embed code. There's a little sizing of the windows, so you can resize it. So that's two ways of uploading a video. You can upload a link. If you have a video file, you can upload that. And let's see, I don't think I have one. I'm going to just use the same upload embed code here. I can preview it. It's going to show it down here in the window. And then scroll down, and I'm going to say Save. So now we see we have added a video, we've added a link, we've embedded the link, we've added a file.
I have a question then for that one, add a video. If I have a video in my computer, what format has to be? Has to be a format or audio? I can record something and upload the...
You can, if it does take like MP3, MP4s. I can send you a list of, and the question that was asked is what format of videos and audio that can be uploaded. So I'll send you a list of all the ones, but MP3, MP4 is usually the standard. Those work just fine. Now, I don't have any existing activities in here, so this is, you kind of get the idea of how to add files into your module. Now, to add your activities, like a Dropbox, because you're going to want your students to have a place to put their assignments. You don't want them really sending them to your email. I mean, you get enough email as it is, so that just adds to it. So using the Dropbox here is a great way of them being able to submit the information, and you can grade it from in here. You can view it, everything you need, and it's in one place. Students know where it is, and you know where it is. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a Dropbox. I'm sorry. That's existing activities. Good. So I'm going to go assessment, Dropbox. We already have some that are pre-made here, but to create one, you will go new folder and you give it a name. Dropbox assignment, it is the same thing, depending on what you call it or where you're previously from or an LMS that you previously worked in, the names go kind of hand in hand. So I give it a name and you can put your instructions here. I would recommend that if you use instructions, put them in a separate file. You probably already have maybe something written up in a PDF or a Word, and that's fine. But if you you can put your instructions here. Just note that when you do, depending on how long your instructions are, it can push that page down for students when they're looking at it, especially on mobile devices. And of course, you can add an audio video of yourself here if you want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm creating this on the fly. I'll cover the grade book in a minute. I'm not going to do anything else but this because I'll come back and show you this part in the grade book. So I'm going to save and close. And it puts it down at the bottom. I can reorganize this, reorder it. If you click on more actions, go to reorder, you can absolutely move that to the top. All I'm going to do is change the order number and save. So now it is there at the top, and that is what my students will see, these drop boxes. So I'm going to go back to my content page because this is the Dropbox I want to add to the list of activities that we were working on. So now I'm going to click Existing Activity, Dropbox, and I'm going to click on the Dropbox that I created. It's going to put it down here at the bottom. This is just really, to me, good practice because it gives your students that quick link to get to. So when they're in this module, they'll know I got to do the introduction first. I got to read this document. I got to watch this video. Now I have to do this assignment. So you're building out an order for them to follow. Maybe you want to do a quiz in this particular model. So we're going to go assessment, quizzes. If you click on assessment, you'll see all the items under here. Maybe you do end of semester surveys. You can create one, self-assessments. And we're not going to get into all of that, but if you need help, you just call us and we will help get these set up. So I'm going to create a quiz. The quiz, there is a quiz wizard, but because we played in this, our wizard is gone. So I can do a new quiz. I'm going to give it a name. And you can click on Add Edit Questions. If you want to type in your questions manually, you can do that. If you have questions from a publisher, you can import those. You can import questions. If you have them, you can copy paste them, maybe out of a document file. Whatever you have them in, we can get them in Folio for you. So in this case, I'm going to type one. So if I click on New, I get these options: true, false, multiple choice, short answer, written answer. So if you scroll down, you see the multiple assessments that we can do. I am just going to do a multiple choice. when you want the correct answer to be marked in here, you would select the circle to the left of your answers. And then you can randomize your answers here by clicking on the box next to randomize your answers. You can change the way it numbers them. It can number them 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, uppercase, lowercase, Roman numeral. It's just whatever you want it to do. So this one, and you also set your point. So I'm done. I'm going to say save, and there's my question. So I'm going to click done editing, and it takes us back to the edit quiz that we were in. And if you scroll down where we clicked on add edit quizzes, you'll see that this question has been entered for this quiz. And I'm just going to say save from here. Now it is closed, so if I go to student view now, my student will not be able to see his quiz, because if you notice it has a little eyeball with a slash in it, that means it's hidden from the students. If you want to unhide it, you click on the down arrow. Any of these tools, when you click on that down arrow, you can click edit to go in and make changes. So we're going to click edit. And we are going to go over to, restrictions. And the top button right here next to hide from users is checked. We're going to uncheck this. Now, if some of you are following along, you may see something different, which is okay. It's okay. So now, when I said okay and saved, it shows the quiz, and that eyeball with the slash in it's gone. That means now students can view this. Now the question library, this is where all your questions are stored. So if you have an import file, we can import your questions right here into the question library, and then we can go into the add edit questions and pull those questions out and put them in there. I guess I'll go over this right here while I'm in here. So So what I've done here is I'm taking you back to the edit quiz, and you can actually set up randomized testing. You would do that by using the question pool. Because we're strapped for time, I'm trying to cut this short so we can help you set this up. Randomized, the question pool and randomized questioning, you can have multiple chapters, for example. You might have, in the first half of the semester, you may have covered 12 chapters, okay? We'll say like week 1, you covered 1 through 5. Week 2, 6 through 7, so on. So what you do is in here, you can click the question pool, and you're going to give your question pool a name, and then you're going to say, maybe I want 25 questions, maybe 10 questions out of every chapter, maybe 25, depending on what you're assessing. So I'm just going to put 25. It's going to show from 0 because I haven't selected any like weekly quizzes where it come in. And then you're going to give it a point per question. I'm going to say browse the question library. Unfortunately, I only have 2 questions in here, so it's really not going to be a good example. No, I actually have 62. So if I open these up, I can see under my categories the questions and the type of quizzes. If you move to the right, you will see that it shows multiple choice, a section, writing, whichever, true, false, ordering, and it shows the points. So in this question pool, I am going to select, I'm just going to select all of them because I want it to pull 25 out of the 62. Or in this case, 24 because I only picked one. One grouping. So if I want to add more, I come back over here to the question and add more. And so now I have 25 out of 62 it's going to pull. So if you have multiple weeks, multiple quizzes, we can absolutely pull those in and it will randomize those questions for every student. And then say save. Come back over to, I think we set this up a while ago. Let me look at it. I'm going to go back to my quizzes and edit this quiz. As I scroll down, you will see how I added all those questions. And you can shuffle the questions at the quiz level. But I think when we set this up, I checked the button where the answers are also randomized. So you can randomize the questions and you can randomize the answers. So that's a good way of testing your students online. Plus, if we look at the restrictions on your quiz, you can lock this down. You can give it due date, end date, start date. So your start date is when it starts. Due date is due. End date is when it closes.
What's the difference in due and end?
Due, if you have it due Friday, but that's when it's due, but you don't want them to see it anymore, you can end it.
And then it'll go away, they can't see it anymore.
They can't see it, right? Well, they the link, but they can't get to it. It locks them out of it.
And also, I know that for the end date, if you want to be Friday, 5 o'clock, but someone submit 1 hour late, then you can put the end date Saturday. And then you can see that some students submit late. They tell you how late was from the due date. Then
Exactly.
you can allow them to be late, maybe a few hours or 1 day.
Exactly. Now, for you guys online, what was said is that if you have a quiz that's due on Friday at 5 o'clock, but you have somebody that you end date at Friday at, it's going to show, the system's going to show that that student is late. So if you're due and you set it to end at 8, the system's going to show you that student's late, and it's going to show you how late they were. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Also, once you set your start date and end date, you can also display this on the calendar. The calendar is a great tool that helps keep you organized, that helps keep your students organized. When we set this on the calendar, I'm going to check this, most of our tools, maybe not, some of the tools have display on calendar. Others you have to just enter on the calendar yourself. So this one you were going to display on the calendar, release conditions, and more advanced, but see us if you need help doing that. And of course, right here, the timer. You can import your time. You can show the clock So your students will get the little clock. Now, sometimes that makes them a little anxious, so you may not want them to see the countdown. But, because I know when I was taking tests online, I'd get anxious because I'm saying, oh, you got 20 minutes, So, anyway, that's how you would set your timing. And if you have a student, this allow user special access. Now, we just set our start date, our end date, we just gave it restrictions. I can add a student if I had someone that had maybe a death in the family, or they were sick. God forbid we have sick folks right now. But if we have somebody who's sick, who can't make this quiz on time, and they say, Professor, can I do this? You give them a week. Can I do this late? And whatever you work out. You can click on add user to special access. And these properties here will override for this particular person what you just set for the whole class. So I'm going to
Laura, this is Candy. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. We're moving on. I thought there for a minute we were frozen. I thought the screen was frozen because I just got a message. So I was like, hold on a minute. I just wanted to interrupt. Okay, because I thought, okay, we might be having some difficulties. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we can set whatever the start end date is for that particular student and the time. And both in the previous page, I didn't get to it yet, and in this one, you can set your attempts. So maybe you want to allow them to have 2 attempts on this quiz. Maybe they have special permission from our student disability center to take this, and you want to give them more time. You can absolutely do this, and you can give them more attempts. Now, as we scroll down, here's where your users would be. So I just have this random list of people because this is my sandbox that we play in. But when your students are enrolled in your course, you'll see your students. So you just come down here, and I'm going to select Candy. You select your student, and you add special access. So it's going to take us back to that previous page. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see here under special access that we've given Candy special access to take this quiz on this date and time, and she gets 2 attempts. So that's how you can, give extra time for your students. When you're done, you say save and close.
How do you give somebody with disabilities extra time? Not take test labor, but extra, like if everybody in the class has 120 minutes and they get double time, they'll get twice that. How do you do? I didn't see that.
That's okay. So we go in the quiz, click on the down arrow, say edit. Okay, we're going to scroll back down to the bottom. Did everybody hear that question online? Yes? Okay. So we're going to scroll back down to the special access. I'm sorry. It's on the restrictions tab. I'm so sorry. So we're going to scroll down to this special access, and I'm going to add special access to this user, okay? So Candy has special access in one way. Now I'm going to give somebody else special access. So maybe I want the student to take it on this time, and I'm going to expand their time. Recommended time limit.
Okay.
Maybe you want to double it.
Gotcha.
So you just add your time here, and maybe you want, again, for this person, you want to allow them 3 attempts, Or we'll just say 2 attempts and apply. So, oh, I forgot to select my user, so I'm gonna grab a user and I'm gonna say add special access. And as we scroll down, when it goes back to the previous page, we can scroll all the way down the bottom. And you see now you have 2 students with their own access that is completely separate and individual. We scroll up from the rest of the class. So as you scroll up, this is what you've enforced for your students. Those who have special access do. So now we can say save and close. Everybody get that? Okay. All right, so we've gone over a Dropbox and we've gone over a quiz. Now let's go back to our content that we built a while ago. And we want to add a quick link to that quiz that we just created. So our students can have that structure. So you're going to say add existing activities, scroll down to quizzes, and as you see, once you build them, you'll see your list of quizzes. I'm going to click on the name of my quiz, and there it is. It puts everything at the bottom. Okay, maybe as you're building this, maybe you don't like the order of it. You can, on the very left of each item in this module, you'll see this little grid. If you hover over it, it gives us the 4, like the little crosshair with the arrows. So you can grab it and you can move it. See how the line moves and let go. Just a drag and drop, real simple. And then you say, oh, well, I'm going to put it back up here. So I'm going to put it back up here. So drag and drop. Folio is great about drag and drop. Now, Candy asked me to show y'all this. So if we are going to upload a file again, maybe we're going to do our syllabus, and I'm going to grab it off my computer. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'm going to just leave this screen up. I am going to grab a document off my computer, and I'm going to grab it, and I can just drop it right here. Just pop that little guy right in there and say add. And of course, this is the same document that I had before, so I'm just going to overwrite it. So drag and drop, real simple. Okay, so now we have kind of, you see how we're building the structure. Okay, so Candy, how are we doing on time? I don't know where she went. Okay.
We are at 10:15, so we got about 15 more minutes for the BLM, and then we need to start gradebook.
Okay. Looks like I froze up for just a second. There we go. Okay. All right, so the build a learning module, let's see, we've done the content, we've done the Dropbox, we've done a quiz. I don't know how many of you are going to do discussions, but discussions are the backbone to class activities. So in your face-to-face classes, as we walk around, we're maybe have our PowerPoint up and we're just giving our instruction to our students. Well, you want to translate that into your lectures online or even your discussion forums. So your discussion forums, and in Folio, the way you're going to communicate with your students is either through the news item on the front page, the discussion forum, or email, or chat. There's even a chat feature in here. So for this demonstration discussion, I'm going to click on Communications Discussions. And in my sandbox, I already have some that are developed. So you will see nothing probably in your sandboxes. So I'm going to do a brand new, fresh discussion. I'm going to click on the blue button, New, and Form and Topic. The forum is the name of the forum. That's like the title, okay? Like classroom discussions or questions for the professor. Name of where you're going to have these topics. So I'm going to create a form, and I'm going to call this
60/50.
classroom discussions. I can check this box right under it, and it will create a topic with the same name, but you might have different topics under classroom discussions. For example, I might have a discussion in Module 1. I might have a separate discussion in Module 3. So in classroom discussions, that's how we would want to do those. Now, there is an option to allow anonymous posts. If you do that, you won't be able to grade them. So, just keep that in mind, because if you click allow anonymous, you won't be able to see who did it. But if it's just a forum where you want to just see the chat of everybody and it's okay to be anonymous, absolutely. I'm just going to leave this at the default. And at the top, there's a restrictions tab. Just like the quiz, you can give the restrictions. Say this discussion forum is only going to be open for a certain time. You can give it a start date, end date, and you can add it to your calendar by clicking on the display to calendar. By doing this, like I said earlier, Folio will automatically add it to the calendar feature. And I liked this feature when I taught, because we have students that would try to prove that they made the discussion the week before. So, on the back end, when we go in and grade it, we can see the date and time and when they actually made this. But I think some of them don't realize that. So I know when I taught, Candy and I taught a course, I like to use them this lock the form. Unlock it allows them, they can come back and in and out, and they can continue the discussion. If you lock it, they can't see it. They can't get to it. It's just they can't do anything with it.
One question for the calendar, if we check the add to calendar, also add to the student calendar, or just the instructor?
It adds it to the student's calendar and yours.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'll show you the calendar in just a second.
The end date and the lock form.
Mhm.
I mean, if there's an end date, does that not keep them from entering it? How are those two different?
The end date, okay, yes, the end date they can't contribute anymore. Locking the form means they just can't access it anymore. So I've locked them out of it.
But essentially it does the same thing, yes?
Yeah, or if you end it, they can still go in and read the stuff.
But they can't add anything to it.
Yeah.
So lock form
I think
just
that's
means,
correct.
lock form just means they can't see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can't see it.
And is that associated with the time, or do you have to go in and individually do that?
For the lock form,
Yes.
you can actually set, the next option
Okay.
is to set a specific range. So you can actually set that. You can unlock it between this time and this time. And that's fine. Now, you will see these. When you lock them down or you hide things, you as an instructor will still see them, but your students. Student view. So when you're done here, you just save and close, and okay. I didn't give it a date and time there. Okay, so again, it drops it to the bottom. I can reorder this and bring it up by clicking on more actions and reorder. I'm going to go down to my classroom discussions and I'm going to make it show at the top.
Laura, can you go back up about the questions for the professor? I just want to mention and kind of encourage people that this is probably definitely something you do want to do, especially with all courses going online. I highly encourage you to do that.
This is, yeah, what she's talking about, the questions for the professor. This opens up a forum for your students to ask questions. To you. And it doesn't have, I'm just going to tell it to, I'm not a very good typist, sorry. I can give it a description in there and say this is a forum open for you to ask me questions. So this now is, I created this form, ask questions for the professor. So when the students go in here, let's see if we can jump over real quick to student view. And I'm going to go communications discussion. And I'm going to click in ask questions for the professor. You get this, you see this. If you want to leave a topic, you can start a new thread and your students can start a new thread. Okay, so maybe this the student has a question about the Module 1 assignment. So now we can see maybe it didn't work because I think I just did my own thing here. Yep. Okay, so because I was kind of logged in myself, it kind of threw me off. But when a student puts in a question to you, you will see that you have how many threads, one thread, one post. This will be in parentheses and it will be blue. That
Right.
indicates you have a new one. You will also
good.
see a blue bar to the left of this. That tells you that is a new unread post.
Right.
If
You
you're
do
back
that
at the
after
home
you come out of
screen,
places. Oh, good. Okay.
when you're back at the home screen, when you have new information, like I said, this was a good example. Maybe Candy can go in and set one up under hers, and then we can see. Candy, can you just ask a question to the professor so they can see what it looks like?
I am. I will do it right now.
So in this updates panel on the front page of your course, it's in the top, kind of in the middle right, top right. You'll see the updates panel. When there's a new discussion post, a new quiz, a new Dropbox, all that, it shows it right here. New emails shows up. So you could click on it straight from here and jump over.
Okay, Laura, I just posted one.
Okay, so let's refresh the screen. Ah, there it is. See, we've come in here and now I see, oh, I got a new discussion I got to check out. So I can come over here and click on it and go to it this way, or I can go to it from communications discussion or through the quick link that we made in the module. So there's multiple ways you can get to it. And as I scroll down, I see here, oh, I have a new question that came up. So it's indicated in blue, the blue bar to the left, and the number of posts. I can either click here or I can click on the form itself. this will allow Show Me Candy's post. I open it up. And I can read it. And then I want to respond.
And then all the students will see the question, the answers, you answer
Yes.
the questions and answers.
All the students will see this, right? Now, there is a way that you can set these discussion forums up to be private, like reflections. I know when we teach online, I like to use reflections. That's a great way to assess students. So you can, and you do this totally different way, but it does use a discussion, and you can set those up privately between you, the instructor, and each in one. Or you can do a group. You can see you and a group of 4. So you can set these up multiple ways. And if you lock it down, say as a reflection, maybe this is kind of drawn out, so I don't want to do this to this demonstration. But if I wanted to open a reflection up for Candy and I can lock it down just for Candy using the same kind of access that we did in the quiz. It's a much easier way though, the system can do it by itself. And you can talk, just you and that student. No other students see that form. No other students can access that form. It's just individual to that student. And the same thing with that group. So you list how group 1 may have student A, B, C, D, and it's just you and group 1. So as I make my response, I just hit post, and Candy can see it, and the other students in this class. Questions for the professor, because if you have a student that has a problem with an assignment, or if it's a part, we say post it here, because your answer might help someone else. They might not be the only student that had this problem. Now, if it's an emergency type stuff, like I'm in the hospital, my grandmother died, my dog's got run over, whatever, I would say keep that between you. Tell them to email it, because that's just personal stuff that the other students need to know. Especially if it's pertaining grades, you don't want them to post that here. Anything else? Okay. Now, we can go to view topics and see all the topics. So in this particular form, which is the questions for the professor, we have two topics here, Candy's and the one I created. Now if I go back to the discussion list, it's going to show us all the forums. So we created this classroom discussion a while ago. I'm just going to show you, run through how to create a topic in there. So blue button, we're going to hit new topic. Now, it's going to ask me, where do you want to put this? Because we have multiple forms. So I'm going to click on the down arrow where it says form, and I can choose where I want to put it. In this particular case, I want to use the classroom discussions. And I'm going to give it, and again, you can give your description here and save and close. So now in this form, I have created a topic. Now, going back to the module that we worked on, I can absolutely put this in there as a quick link. Go to add existing activities. I'm going to click on discussions. I'm going to click on classroom discussions. And I got week 3, module 1. It's kind of weird, but anyway, I can add that discussion right there. Now I'm going to show you something. If I I can add, you can hit edit properties. What's it? Let's see, what was it? Edit properties in place. So what I can do is I can give it a date and time right here. I can also give it a description. And when you say update, I'm going to go off of it for a minute, come back.
That's
I want it to refresh. So you'll see your description is here underneath that discussion. You can put your instructions there, like I said earlier, but it will pop that page down. So you might want to consider just creating a instruction page for them. But if you're just going to say right here, well, no, just the instruction page would be best. You can do that here, either one. I don't have a preference. Is there a preference, Candy, really?
There's not really a preference. It's up to them what they choose. The only thing I think we probably should go over is maybe the news item. I don't think we've done that yet.
Okay. So the news items, when I come into Folio, as I mentioned earlier, that's what populates right here. You'll see it in the body of this front page where it's, in our case, it says getting started. So we're telling whoever opens this page up what they need to do first. So first they need to go to the orientation. Start here. Okay, so how did we do this? You can do it quickly by clicking new news item. You can also get here and create it, and this kind of gives you more tools where this new news item is kind of like a quick way to add it. So you can do that here. Coach, I'm good. Now, when I hit save, it took me back to not the home page. I go to the home page. I'll see that's my news item I created. Now when I hit save, it actually took me back to here, communication news. This is where you can set up your news items. You can edit. All pages, they have the HTML page. You can absolutely have this toolbar. You can make it bold. You can italicize it, underline it. You have your options of how you want to make this text look. You can push it in, indent it some, or make it listed. You can change the color of it. Be careful with colors because you might have colorblind students that may not be able to see it red. So if you want to like accent it, bold it. It's okay to use color, but also bold it. That way, if they see it, it kind of stands out. So then I say update, and that's the way it's going to look. And so when the student comes in to the course, that's the first thing they see. So if you have important announcements to make to your students, kind of like what we just had, right? You can put that right here on the home page, and they'll see it first thing. Okay, so
Laura, I've got some people who would like to have a break for about 1 or 2 minutes, maybe a 5-minute break. Would that be possible?
That is possible. We can take a break, folks.
Then when we come back, we will do the grade book.
Yep. I'm gonna I tell you what,
Want to
before
let
we
our video
break,
play? It's an
wait a minute,
intermission.
before we break, let me show you the calendar. That way we can just come straight back into the grade book and all, okay? So I was talking about displaying on the calendar. The calendar's at the toolbar at the top. You can click on it, you can add your stuff here. You can also, if you have multiple classes, you can filter which class there is. Right now we see our COL Folio training class. So this is the one that is displaying this calendar too. On the Folio homepage, underneath that updates panel, there's a calendar panel. So those items that we clicked display on calendar, it shows it right here. So students will see this. It shows their upcoming activities. So that's really all there is to a calendar, and that's important to do that. So, okay, now we can all take a break. 10 minutes. Is that good? Restroom break, water break. Okay. All right, everybody on the line, we're going to take about a 10-minute break and then come back and go over the grade book. Resume the recording. Hey, has everybody made it back online?
I just saw it and I was tempted to use, but I didn't.
Do I have everybody? Turn your mic on and tell me yes, you can hear me. Candy, can you hear me?
I hear you. I can hear you. And it looks like everybody is still up and going. I just sent them a message. We're back in session.
Okay. Can everybody see my Folio screen? Candy, can you see this fine?
Yes, I see your folio screen fine.
All right. So now we're going to leave this other big section for gradebook, because throwing your content up in there and grading your content are pretty big. Okay. So the gradebook's a little bit to it. Like I said before, if you have any questions, Candy and I are here, and the other IDs are here. Everybody at the center will work with you to help you get these things, these tools set up for your students. So in the gradebook, your gradebook is located from the top nav bar. You can go grades, grade, and I'm in student view. I was like, what? I thought we were just having technical difficulties there for a second. Okay, so grades, grades. And this is the gradebook wizard. Candy, if you want to, I can click if you, or do you want me to do this?
No, just go ahead and keep going. I'm managing the chat right now.
Okay. So this is the gradebook wizard. It's a quick way that you can set your settings up for your gradebook. Scroll down and you can say start. It's going to ask you if you're going to use weighted or points. I like weighted. It's really a personal preference. There's no right or wrong way. It's just a personal preference. I like weighted. So whatever you do in your gradebook, make sure it matches your syllabus, because your students will call you out. They will if something's not right. Oh, dropping all kinds of stuff here. I'm sorry, folks. I'm dropping things. So I'm going to do weighted. And I'm going to click continue. Now, it's going to ask me if I want to use, if I just want to release the calculated final grade or adjusted grades. That, again, is how you do your grading. The final calculated grade is the running tally of how the grades are going. The adjusted final grade, if you leave on adjusted final grade and say you want to round up or round down, this is what you would do to use that. So if you have a student that has a 89.6. You might want to round it up to a 90. You may not. This is what you would leave on to round it up. It allows you to go in and adjust that grade. Automatically release the final grades. I probably wouldn't set this up right now. I'd probably kind of wait towards the end of the semester, but that's your choice. So I'm going to say continue. Now it's going to bring us up to step 3, the grade calculations. We have 2 options here. It's called the 2 options under ungraded items. It defaults to drop the ungraded item, and then the next choice is to treat ungraded items as a 0. One thing I did not tell you guys is anytime you see this little question mark here, you can hover over it, and it will tell you what it is, what you can do. For some reason, it looks like this one's cutting off. Yeah. Well, I guess maybe not. So, going back to this, what's the difference between the grade calculations here? Drop an ungraded item is default. That's what I recommend that you do, is drop the ungraded items. Because if you don't, and you're in the first week of the semester, and you leave ungraded items as a 0, you turn that on, it is going to count everything in the future weeks as a 0. So they may start out with an F. If that's what you want, that's fine. But you will get questions. Students will be going, I made 100 on my assignment and, an 80 on my quiz. Why do I have an F? So you can see where that can cause a problem. Now, at the end of the semester, if you have 100 students in your class, you might have the option, or you don't even have to have 100 students. You have 20 in your class, and you might want the option to just let them finish the grade when they can. Okay? So you might not, when you're grading, you might just skip over those and might not zero them out. I zero them out because if they haven't done it by then, by the time I set for them, I zero it out. But if you don't, the system can do it for you. So then you would click treat ungraded items as a 0, and towards the end of the semester, it'll fill in all those zeros. I mean, for you, for example, you have 100 plus students in your class. You may not zero them out, and at the end of the semester, that's a lot of work. You can just click this and it will take care of it.
So you can keep one thing and then change it. In other words, you could begin with the drop ungraded items and then at the end go to treat ungraded items as 0.
That's correct.
Okay.
But I don't want you to mistake that with it. You can change. Other things you can't, because it can affect your grade book entirely. But this one, yes, you can change. So I'm going to leave it on drop ungraded items. So continue. Now the schemes, you can set up your grade schemes. Maybe you want your special coloring for A, B, C, D. Maybe you want it between certain grades to reflect A, B, C, D. You can absolutely set this up. But it comes up percentages as default, and I'm going to leave it as default and move forward. And decimal points is ask you this multiple times in the grade book. This will, if you want to leave 2 decimal points, some people do. I know some of my nursing faculties, they don't want any points there, so they usually remove them. So we can click continue. And step 6. This is how it's going to show, it's going to appear to the students. So in the grade book, they're going to see in the final grade column, they're going to see points, and they're going to see weights, and they're going to see symbols according to what's on the screen, because these items are checked. Points, weights, symbols. I'm doing weights. So I may not want them to see the point. I might want them to see the points. I might want them to see the colors. Now, if you turn on the color scheme right here, there's no legend that tells you blue is A, green is B, pink is F. You know, there's nothing there that tells you. You can figure that out. That's personal preference. Again, it's going to ask you decimal points. Then it's going to ask you how many characters that you want him to display on your column. This is your column in your grade book. This is the title of your column. So that's what it's asking here. And then final grade calculation, display final grade to the users. You absolutely want to do that or you'll get 100 emails. So click continue and it's just going to confirm and you say finish. Now that is how you can set up your settings. You can change those right now. We just went through that, but maybe I want to treat my ungraded items as a 0. So I can come up here to settings, top right, there's a little cogwheel that says settings. You can click on that. And it's going to bring up this screen, personal display options screen. We have 3 tabs here. The first tab is your personal display options. This is how you are going to see it. So maybe you want to see the points and the weights. Maybe you don't care about the color, so you can remove that. Maybe you want 50 characters. I want 15, and I want 50. And you see the column header, the user display repeats. And what this is it will show the names of the students like as it moves across the page. That's kind of helpful. And then your start page, you can tell it to either, once we do the grade book, you really can just go to the manage grades area on your own. Enter grades is probably where you want to leave it because that's where you're going to see where your student grades are. That's where you're going to do all your activity. So you say save. Now I'm going to jump over to the org unit display. This is how your students will see it. Now, there are a few reasons why your students will email you or call you or say, Professor, I can't see my grades in Folio. There are several things that could be. One of them could be how it shows in the screen. So you can come here and make sure that your weights or your points are checked off. And if they're fine, then I'll show you other places to look. So this is where your students will see it. I'm going to say save. Every time we're on one, I like to save it, make sure the system knows it. Now, calculation options. A while ago, we saw this screen. You remember, it said weighted or points. I chose weighted, and I chose the adjusted final grade. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I just want it to calculate the final grade and leave that as is. Maybe I do want to release my final grades, even though I said a while ago, wait till the end. So right here, I'm going to do this just for you. Treat the ungraded items as a 0. You can do that. And then make sure you automatically keep your grades updated. Save. So that is, and confirm your saving, that is the settings. One thing I do not recommend is if you start with weights or points, you don't want to come back over here and change it midstream because it's going to mess your grade book all up. If for some reason I think I saw an email or I was told by one of the faculty that how the grades are being changed now from forward. I think there's some Candy, do you remember what the changes were with the grades
I want to say,
moving forward?
I think the students got an email about pass or fail. I noticed there's a lot of talk on Prod about pass or fail, and there's been a lot of talk about that, but I'm not quite sure as to what Georgia Southern is doing. And
I don't know. That's just kind of what I heard. I haven't seen anything official that has come across.
Some schools are doing that.
Yeah, but that's what I heard. So if that's the option here, and you have to change it for you, you have your online courses now. So you might have to change this midstream.
hey, Laura, can you hear me? Hey, Laura, do you hear me?
With our class, and this is being recorded, so if you need to watch it because you've missed some parts, you can come back and view it again once I post it. So just hang on, hopefully we'll come back. Okay, so what we're looking at here on the screen is our grade area. Enter grades. If we click there, we will see we have an import and an export. So you can import this.
This is
Yes.
Candy. We're all back online. We can hear you now.
Perfect. Okay. So guys, what I'm doing is I'm showing them how to import, export your grades. So on import, as you see, we can import. When you click import, it says the format: CSV, a text, and a TSV. And it gives you an example right here. So if you need an example of how to import your grades, that's a good little sample that you could do to see if the formatting is correct. I don't have one to upload, but you would just choose your file, go find it, open it, and hit continue, and then import those grades. Now export, anytime you fill with your gradebook, absolutely recommend exporting those grades. You can export them out. Make sure that you do check the student name, so you want to know who it is. And you might need Eagle IDs. It gives you, you can sort it by however you want to sort it. And then if you scroll down, it asks you which grades you want to export. So you might want to export everything. You may want to select just certain grades. You can do that. I don't have any here to select, other than the final grade and adjusted grade. And as you build it, you will all notice that that is kind of default. You can't get rid of those two. They're always in there. So I'm going to click on this and I can either export it as a CSV file or I can export it as an Excel document. So choice is yours either way. I'm just going to say cancel because I don't have anything really to export.
I have one question.
Yes.
Suppose I'm importing a file, Excel file, my homework script, suppose I have to folio. And my question is how is they're going to match the student names or corresponding in a student?
If you look at that sample on that import, it shows you exactly how you need to format your document to import it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you format it like that
See, sometimes
sample.
what happened in the folio, the student names I have is from the beginning of the semester, right?
Mhm.
But in the past, after past week, maybe some of the student drop. So in my Excel file, you know, the student not in that sequence, the same sequence as the in folio.
So everybody online, the question that was asked here was about importing and how it's formatted and how does Folio recognize a student from your export file as a student in the course. So if you go into import, it gives you the sample CSV file. I'm going to open it up. CSV will also open in most anything. So I like to export and import a CSV because it just works fine. So it gives you an example, and if you're an Excel user, you know how you can just move these about. So it gives you an example of how you need to list this. So you will need that is not what I thought the order. I don't know what that is actually. Oh, I got stuck because I was thinking our student. This is just a simple file that they gave. So this would be like our 900 numbers, the Eagle ID student name. Instead of a comma, they have dot first name, dot last name. So it needs to be formatted in this way. And the topic, the headers also, to make sure the headers match. So if you import it, it should work just fine. If you need help, we can help you with that, okay?
Then maybe it's going to match the ID number.
Yeah.
The ID way that they will know what student corresponds.
Yes, this is their ID number on the
That's
first
starting
column
the-
here.
And
That's
you-
what the
first
you have to have the ID number for it to import.
And you have that in your class list. So
That will be
the question for everybody online was, do you have to have the student ID number? Yes.
In the first column.
Yes, you do. This is the first column that we're
Second
looking
row,
at.
probably also second row. First
So-
column, second row.
If I go back over here, I'm going to show you, you actually have access to that information. So if you go to your communication class list, I'm going to see my student names here and Eagle ID. So you have access to their numbers. So you can put those numbers in with the student names. While I'm here, quick place to email your students. You can, on the far left, you see the boxes, the check boxes. You can click the very top one and it will select all your students. And you can send them a quick email. That's a fast way that you can email your students if you need to. You guys will not have an enroll and unenroll. It's just, this is the level access that I have here. Okay, so going back to grades, and I will be more than glad to help you import those if you'd like. Okay. All right, so we're going to build our grade book from scratch. And I'm kind of OCD with building the grade book. I like it to have structure and I like it to make sense to me. So you build it in the way that it makes sense to you. But I recommend whatever you name your assignments, whether it's like week 1, module 1, keep that name consistent. Okay? That way it's easy for you when you're grading 100 students, and it's easy for your students to find it. So naming conventions are important. Okay, so I passed out some documents to everybody who's in the face-to-face. This will tell you how to do most of the things I've showed you today. And the very first thing I'm going to do is build this gradebook structure. Everybody online, I will be emailing these documents out to you as well. So in the manage grades, I'm going to click New Category. I want to set the category first. This is like a title or a header, okay, of your item. So I'm going to call this one Assignment Dropbox, so we don't confuse the name. It's not going to like that character. I can give it a short name. Sometimes you may have this real long name assignment. You can absolutely shorten it. And this is what, this will override the main name. So if you give it a short name, that's what your students will see in the gradebook. I'll go over these options in a minute. For this particular one, I am going to go ahead and set up to distribute these points all across items.
Can you repeat how you go to that?
Yes. Yes.
New
I go
grades and grades.
Grades, and then new category.
Okay.
Okay. So in this particular category, maybe I want my assignments to be 40%. How did I do that? Did stop one? Because this is points per item. I'm going to do 10 points. And save and close. I don't even remember how to set that up. Yeah, okay. I'm going to change it back to weighted real quick because I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing points, not weights. You can change it unless you have a grade in there. If you have student grades, I don't recommend changing it. All right, so let me go back and adjust that one because I like the weights, and I want you to see that as you build it out using weights, you have error messages. So folio, make sure that your math is right. So I want to adjust this assignment Dropbox category. I'm going to click on the down arrow and say edit. I want this to be 40 points. Now, I can manually add the weights of each item, or I can distribute them evenly. I'm going to just, for this assignment, distribute them evenly across all items. If I choose this option, you'll notice that there are 2 boxes that are now not grayed out. I have a choice. So if this is a category that maybe you want to drop this one. I'm started, so I got to finish. You can drop the lowest grade of this category right here, or you can do the highest. No, I don't know why you want to do that, but maybe we want to drop the one lowest grade here. We can do that. And you would do it at the category level. I'm going to say save and close. Now it's built my category, and it's showing the message at the top here shows final calculated grade sums to 40%, not 100. Because Folio knows that I have not completed my grade book and I need to adjust it. So I'm going to build these other categories out real quick. I am going to add a discussion. And maybe it's going to be 25. And I'm going to do a quizzes, and maybe these are going to be the low stake. Maybe it's 30 points.
95%.
Maybe on the quizzes, I'm going to drop the lowest grade on the quiz and go back in and remove that one on the assignment. Move that back to 0. That way, you know, I'm dropping the lowest grade on the quiz. That makes more sense. And as you see, my grade book is calculating. So I'm going to do something. So maybe I have reading assignments or something, and whoop. Okay, so you see here that my categories equal 100%. I had to do the math real quick. I was like, okay, all right. So now I still have an error message at the top. It's telling me, hey, your discussions equal 0% out of 100. What are you going to do about it? So now I'm going to start building a grade item. The grade item is what puts that column in your grade book, and you associate the grade item with the tool activity that the students are doing, and when we link that together, that is what will push that grade in the grade book. So a grade item, I'm going to do numeric, and I'm just going to stick with module 1, module 2 that for this demonstration. So module 1 discussion. In the categories, these are what I just picked up. So you want to make sure that these are going to go under the categories you set up. So I'm going to choose discussion. I'm just going to leave it at 10%. Now, I like to use rubrics in a discussion, and Candy does too. So you can lay out your rubric. That's another workshop. But just really quick, I like grading with them in folio. You can create them, lay your expectations out for your students. You know, they have to respond, maybe they have to show critical thinking. They have to respond to students, whatever your criteria are for that. You create that, you would upload it right here, add a rubric, or you can create one on the fly. Grading with that, especially in large classes, makes it go a lot quicker because it brings up the rubric and you just go click, 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 publish. So, you know, they either meet it or they don't. Or there may be different levels. So it's not just met or not met. They could have different levels. So I'm going to save this. And you'll see how it's starting to build out my discussions. Andy, if you want to talk right now while I do this, go ahead.
All right. We had another question that was on there, and that was on the chat thing about how do you convert a Word file to a zip file, and I told that individual that we would get to them. So,
how to convert a Word file to a zip file?
Yeah, so that's a question, and that's something beyond what portfolio is right now, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's not part of this, but I'll be more than glad to answer that once we're done.
And let's see, I think that is all the questions that we've got going on. And I told everybody that online they would receive the quick guides in an email about the building learning module in the grade book. The ones are receiving in the face-to-face. I think that's about it as far as questions.
All right, so you kind of see how I'm building out the grade book. The very top column, you'll see it's, you may or may not be able to tell, but it's a little off color. It shows assignment drop box. That is our category. Our category for that is 40%. We have 2 grade items under that category. We told it to distribute the grades evenly among that category, and that's what it did. So when you're using weights, your categories, Dropbox, for those who can't see me, Dropbox, discussion, quizzes, reading, those are your categories, have to equal 100%. Your grade items, which would be in this example, M1 assignment, M2 assignment, they have to equal 100% of that category. Does that make sense? So that's where we get 50-50. That's 100% of 40. So then the categories are 100%. As you build these out and the math adds up, these messages will go away. They'll clear up. So, let's see. I'm doing is I'm moving this back to 10. So I have to create another one. So it's only showing 10% out of the whole category in my reading. So let me show you. That error message will go away as soon as I make that equal 100%. So that now equals my reading category. My reading assignment 1 equals 100% of 5%. That makes sense? So your points, it looks completely different from this. You don't, you can just give flat points for your reading, your quizzes, your discussion, and you can set these up to where you can manually add different values here to each assignment. But that's kind of how we're building this out. When I click over to the enter grades, you will see how it's built out here. We have assignment Dropbox, and we have the 2 categories with the 2 grade items. And then we have discussion, your 2 discussions I have in it, and your quizzes. And reading. So built out. Now, I don't have 100% because I'm trying to save time on this, but I think you understand how that's working. So now, what do I do? How do I make this work? Well, one more thing we need to do is we need to make the connection between these grade items and the activity. You can do this two ways. You can create a grade item two ways. I just showed you one way. So now I want to, if you notice on this screen, in the association column, there's a dash. It shows that that means there's nothing associated with it. There's no activity. There is no assignment, M1 assignment associated with this grade item. So there won't be a grade in your grade book. So what do? You can come here and say edit. Oh, sorry. I need to go to the assignment. So I go assessment Dropbox. And I'm going to use this assignment 1 Dropbox. I'm going to click the down arrow. I'm going to say edit folder. Look at my my settings and all here. So under evaluation and feedback, it shows that there's 25. The score out of is 25. If you're not certain what that means, you can hover over and it will tell you. Now the next one says grade item. This is what I need to pick to make that connection in the grade book. I'm going to click the down arrow and it will show how our structure that we just built out, the categories of assignment Dropbox, and then the assignment under them, the discussion and the discussion assignments, the quizzes and the quizzes assignments, and so forth. So for this one, I'm going to click on the M assignment, and I'm just going to say save and close. Now in this Dropbox, assignment Dropbox window, you'll see there's like a little key right here. This little key next to the M1 assignment Dropbox, it indicates that you have linked that to a grade item. Now, I'm going to go to M2 assignment and show you. I'm going to do that one too. So, I'll show you what I've written. Over here. I'm going to make that save and close. Now I'm going to go over to the grade book. Grades, manage grades. Now what's different here is before we had a dash under the association. Now we see that there's a tool attached to it. Sometimes when you import different grades, and maybe you're importing from last semester, and somehow or another you might have things that are overlapping, and you might have two M1 assignments, and they're both showing a link. You can hover over the question mark, and it will give you the name, or you can even click on it. And it will tell you which assignment Dropbox is connected to. So you can go back and kind of correct that if you need to. So as long as there's an association, these grades will be pushed in the grade book. You do the same thing for all the rest of them. The tools work the same. Now, maybe on this reading assignment, I decided my students weren't doing too good on some of their things, so I'm going to give them a bonus. I'm going to give them a bonus item. So, I'll just create a new one. I'm going to call this category sorry, it needs to be item. Call this item bonus. That's what it is. Now, it's not going to be affiliated to any category because now you built your grade book out, everything equals 100% and the math works out. So you're not going to add it to any category, you're just going to like let it hang out here by itself. But you can, and if you do add it to a category, you can say, hey, I want this to exceed. Now, it can exceed. You show it, it will allow it to go through. And you can set it up as a bonus point. Save and close. I scroll down back in my managed grades area. You will notice at the bottom, there is my bonus, and it's indicated by a star. So it shows you which bonuses that you have. And that will allow you the math. It's over 100%. I said exceed. It's okay. It told us. That's fine. I'm good with this. It will go over 100. Be 110. So that's what I told the system. And I think some other stuff in here.
Hey, Laura, we're at 11:34.
Yeah, I'm going to show them how to break the grade so they can delete it, and then that's pretty much it. Okay, so we have, looking at the managed grades area, under the assignment drop box, M1 and M2, we see it has an association with a drop box. If before, it's not so much a problem now, but it's good practice to break these so students won't see the column. You can delete these. You can come in here. I'm going to show you, if you don't break it, it's going to say you can click delete all you want. But I can't click it. I can't proceed because I didn't break it.
Now, why do you want to break it?
So you can delete it. Maybe you have double grades, or you have one that you imported that you don't want to use, you know. You, like I said, if you don't use it, lose it. You kind of want to lose it here. So it might be, that might be the case. Well, you can't delete it because it's still associated. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that tool, which is the assignment drop box, M1. I'm going to click on the down arrow next to that tool. Edit folder.
Yes.
We're going to come here and under grade item, we're just going to click none because we're going to just unassociate it and say save. And then when we go back to the managed grades area, you will see by the dash under the association column that we broke that link. Now it's safe to delete that. So I can come here, click on it, go up to the top, more actions, select delete. Now it's not grayed out. It will allow me to select it. But see the other one, I can't because it's still showing an association. So I'm going to say delete. It's going to ask you to confirm it. And now it's gone. And if you go over to the inner grades, you'll see it's gone, the column is gone from here as well. And this is the problem if you don't break that association. Now you kind of have to. Before, it wasn't grayed out. And you could just break it, you could just delete it. And then we had this extra column here for M1 assignments, and students are looking all over the place. Where'd it go? Well, you know, what do I have to submit? It's in my grade book because it's in their view. It may not be in your view, but it is in their view. So that's why that's important. Anyway, that is it, everybody. And think I kind of went over a little bit, but if you have any questions, anybody want to stick around and ask questions and I'll answer. Any questions? Candy, you have questions?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for their patience for us doing this, and we will survive. We're going to get through this, and your handouts will be sent to you, and you guys should have access to our Rapid Course Guide online, so check that out. Check out our CTE webpage for updates on that as well. So we're working, and we're working hard. So thank you for your patience. We appreciate your patience.
It's a continuous process, so just hang in
We're in
there.
this together.
That's right, we are. So I thank everybody for joining us and everybody for coming today.
Thank you. Yeah. You're the one who's worked.